Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the second week of the Woodruff Wolverine Coaches Show. Coach Brett Sloan will be with us shortly. And, folks, it is finally football season. We just completed week 0 here at Woodruff High School, and we are pumped for this week's game, another home game here at W.L. Warner Stadium versus the Fountain Inn Fury, I believe. It's the Fountain Inn Fury. So we are pumped. Everybody's excited in this town. It's football season again. And, it's also the big kickoff of the college football season. And we, speaking of college football and NFL is going to be starting pretty soon. We got a special guest with us tonight, Mr. Jaylin Lane. Jaylin,
what's going on?
Thanks for jumping in with us, man.
No problem, man.
So good to hear from you, man.
Always excited to talk and chop it up. So.
Yes, sir. How's things going in Washington?
It's going great, man. Been up here since May, really. After the draft and went through OTAs. Finally finished up training camp, so now we're just getting ready for week 1. So it's pretty good.
Yeah. So I gotta tell a story on you real quick, man. So for those of you who don't know, Jaylin's first preseason game was in New England. What was that? Is that 3 weeks ago now?
Yeah, something like
3
that.
weeks ago. So I called Jaylin. I was like, "Hey, man, we're coming up. We're coming up to see you play in New England." And I was like, "Man, I told Jaylin, I was like, I have no idea how this works. If we could get to see you, get to talk to you, whatever." And Jaylin's immediate response was, "Man, I got to tell you," he's like, "I don't really know how any of this works either."
Got no clue.
We both had a good laugh about that, but
yeah.
we were super pumped that it worked out. Marcellus Dial from Woodruff is with the New England Patriots, and to kind of have all those worlds collide and be able to see you and Marcellus in the NFL at the same time, it's wild. It kind of blows my mind. And for folks who might be listening that don't know Jaylin or don't remember Jaylin, Jaylin is Coach Brian Lane's son. Jaylin was the official ball boy back in the day, and kind of cut his teeth on some good old Caldwell training, Caldwell speed training, and weight training while he was a little kid. And
Andrew Caldwell, that was the foundation of my speed for sure.
Yeah, man, for sure. He got you guys started early, man. You guys were in 6th grade doing sack drills and all kind of stuff. That's good stuff, man. But Jaylin, even though you didn't graduate from Woodruff, man, I still want to kind of claim you a little bit, because you were able to cut your teeth here a little bit in football growing up in Woodruff, and graduating from Clover and going to MTSU, which is kind of my old stomping grounds. I don't even know if you know that. I lived in Nashville for about 5 or 6 years.
Oh man, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was my stomping grounds for a while, man. So, back in the day. But you spent 2 seasons at MTSU?
3
at MTSU before you were able to go to move on to Virginia Tech. And I don't know if you want to speak to that or not, but tell everybody kind of the scope of NCAA football now. You used to choose a school and you were kind of there for the 4 years and you were locked in. With the climate of NCAA football now, you have an opportunity, if the opportunity comes up, to make a jump up to, maybe a larger school, maybe a bigger platform, all those things. How did that decision, play in to you to go to Virginia Tech?
I feel like it was a lot of different kind of just moving parts to going into it. When I first went to Middle Tennessee, I wasn't the biggest kid. I'm still not the biggest. I was definitely under recruited, but Middle Tennessee came along kind of late, and it felt right, so I went there, and I came in COVID. That was a weird season for my first college season, and then kind of got back to normal in 21, and I had a good year, and it was crazy. That's when the transfer portal was really starting to open,
kind of hopping,
yeah. And So like after that season, I like it was in 2021. I like led the nation in punt return average. It was like
Yeah.
16 yards a punt return. And like some of my teammates thought I was gonna transfer. Then I was like, nah, man. Like I was talking to my pops. I was like, man, I don't need to, go to a different place. I felt like I'm a loyal guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I play the next season and I have a great year. And it just kind of just egging on me, just like I know there's opportunities out there for me to, you know, because my ultimate goal is to get where I'm at now in the NFL.
Right.
And I know I could have done that for Middle Tennessee, but I also didn't want to be a question like, oh, can this guy play in a different or stronger conference, things like that. So, after talking with my pops and family, and we just decided, yeah, we're going, just take the leap of faith. And then Virginia Tech, they was on me quick,
Yeah.
and honestly, I went on a visit there, and I was probably sold from the jump. Um, just the atmosphere, the staff that's there. There's a lot of good people, so I felt right.
Well, it's kind of a full circle thing because Derek Jones was there on staff at Virginia Tech, also another Woodruff guy. So it was kind of cool to make that connection too. Because
Yeah.
I ended up
Hmm.
talking to Derek later, and he knew your dad through recruiting for man. Your dad's been coaching a long time, and since 2007, your dad's been a head coach, I guess.
Yeah.
And
Hmm. Hey,
so
old now.
come on now. But Derek had kind of created a relationship with your dad over the years through recruiting, and here at Woodruff and Burns, and obviously through West Side where he is now,
Yeah.
and Clover. But it was just too cool to be able to connect those dots, and it's always awesome to be able to look on the TV screen and say, "Hey, I know that guy. I
Yeah.
know that guy making
For sure.
plays."
Yeah.
And the thing that I've always loved about you and your dad and your family, you guys have always been so humble and gracious for the opportunities that you guys get.
Yeah.
And you definitely had some awesome accolades in college, and were able to make your mark at Virginia Tech. But the ultimate of all ultimate football goals has finally been attained.
Yeah.
And I remember you running around as a little kid and talk about playing in the NFL, and there and that's a lot of stories of probably guys on your team right now that were when they were a little kid. That's something that they dreamed of, and they
For
could never
sure.
think of anything else. But I want to play in the NFL. So this might be a hard question to answer, but like now that you're finally that, like you're there, man. Like, does it seem real? Like, has it sunk in yet? Like, what's the feeling of like finally getting there?
Man, I'm not gonna lie, I've been on cloud nine since April. Still, I still like get random, like just like wow, I'm here, I'm like on the team, you know what I'm saying? It's just I still get random
Yeah,
waves of that. So I don't know honestly if that'll ever go away just because it's like, as a kid, it's a dream. Of course you want to attain it, but you always hear the negative sides of it, like you need a backup plan, only so and so percentage. But like when you finally get here, it's like you got to take a moment and just be grateful in the
for sure.
situation. And try to do that at least once a day, just because my 9-year-old self is screaming right now. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I can
I
only
don't want to
imagine.
take that for granted.
Yeah, for real. And uh, I saw the videos of your whole family kind of being able to take part in the day you got drafted, and
Yeah,
I'm sure that was an undescribable feeling to know like somebody wanted, like the Commanders wanted you. They took you out.
yeah.
They took you and wanted you to be a part of the team, and I don't know. It was awesome to see how excited everybody was, and then it's still there. I guess there was still some uncertainty, like you're going to make the team, and like
Hmm.
you have to do. There's so many more steps involved than just getting drafted,
For sure.
and I don't know if a lot of people kind of understand some of that part of it, but like from draft day to putting on the pads the first day, what does that look like? That time in between?
Man, so after I got drafted, there was, I think the draft was April 20 something. But I didn't end up getting out. They flew me out early May, so I think it was May 7th or 8th. That actually got out here, but before then, I'm on Zoom meetings with my receiver coach, kind of going through the playbook, and you're just trying to get just the groundwork of it. And then we got rookie mini camp. It was just 3 days of like all the drafted and undrafted guys, and then they got a bunch of tryout guys too. Probably around like 50 guys total. Just go through a couple practices. And after that, OTAs start when the vets they all come in. And yeah, that was when the vets came in. That day was crazy to me because
Yeah.
you got Zach Ertz and Debo Samuels walking up, dapping me up. It's just like
Debo,
kind of
yeah.
surreal.
Shout out Debo Samuel,
Yeah,
Spartanburg
shout out.
County guy.
Yeah, 864. But yeah, it's just cool. And honestly, like thinking back to that, it feels like it was so long ago. Like where we're at now, like about to start the season.
Yeah.
Like it feels like that was like a year ago, but it was just a couple of months.
Right.
So, but yeah, it's definitely a lot that goes in. Even though, like, I've heard stories about guys getting drafted and not making the team come September because you think you made it. There's guys that don't work. Like it's crazy. The story that was in my head this whole process with B.J. Johnson because
Yeah.
he was talking about how when he was first getting his shot at the league, there was a guy that the 49ers had drafted, but then cut him because he was coming in, wasn't early coming in, wasn't leaving, like leaving when everything was done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
BJ was putting in the work, so BJ
Right.
was just ahead of him in that aspect. So this kind of just played in my mind. The work is just starting. It's not
Yeah.
over because I made it. So.
Gotcha. Well, man, we just had a special guest that just joined in as a surprise guest.
Oh Lord,
We're gonna bring in Coach Jaylin Lane right now. I couldn't pass up the opportunity to get you guys on at the same time. And Coach told me, he's like, we might be done practicing at 7:15, so I was hoping it might work out. Coach, how are you?
Hey man, I'm good, dude. I'm good, man. I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed.
So you had to step outside. You ain't got no connection in there, huh?
Hey man. I step outside because I got too much stuff on my board, man. We got Hannah this week. I can't have
whatever.
You can't have stuff on the board.
Can't let your secrets out, right?
That's right. Right.
Man. Well, Coach, Jaylin and I have been talking for a few minutes, and I'll let you interject for a couple minutes here. But I was telling Jaylin earlier that it still blows my mind as a little kid when he was running around as a ball boy, talking about playing in the NFL, and it's a reality right now. And I can only imagine as a parent what you and Kenya might be thinking. I know y'all are beaming with pride. I know you got a new baby grandson as well.
Yeah.
Life has got to be going good. Shout out to BJ if he comes back and listens to this. But Coach, tell us a little bit about what it's like, man. Seeing Jaylin growing up in football, and then now he's made kind of the ultimate goal of playing in the NFL.
Well, man, it's just the ultimate sense of pride, man. You just you know the struggles and what it takes to get there and the stuff that he had to put himself through and just the dedication and discipline, man, to even have an opportunity, to get in this spot, man, and just the ups and the downs with it, the am I good enough, all of that stuff, because one thing I can say, man, that I never really did was I did because he asked Jaylin when he was little, what do you want to do? I want to play in the NFL. I mean, he would tell you that on up, and I never discouraged it. I never was like, nah, son, sometimes you get that, no, that's never gonna happen. You need to, no, man. I was a big person of, man, dream big, just dream big, and God will let things happen. Whatever's gonna happen is for you. And so I can just remember him, playing at the Woodruff Little League. He was playing
gold team, white
gold team.
Gold
Yes, sir.
team, know that.
Yes, sir. The gold team, man.
That's good.
Yeah, dude. And him just like, I'm telling you, like what I remember the first like 5 times he touched it, man. He scored. I'm sitting here like, and I'm not even gonna lie, I was like, man, somebody tackle him so he don't think, But then I think the next game he got tackled. And I remember this. He was just kind of on the ground and kind of looked like he was like wanting to cry. And I remember yelling because I think Dorian was out there. And I said, "No, leave alone. Get up. Get up." and don't you start that. I remember saying, don't start that because, I didn't want him to think, all right, man, I'm going to touch you and score every time. That's not football. You got to overcome stuff. And
right.
But, man, he just took that on, man, to a new level. And like I said, me and Kenya, we're just so proud of him and BJ, for what they're doing. They're accomplishing their goals. BJ wanted to be he went to Australia to follow the ministry. He got his degree in seminary school, and Jaylin's, with the Commanders, man. It's just a blessing.
The other challenge for you in Kenya is how do you be in Australia and Washington and then at Westside at the same time? How do you figure that out?
Brother,
you put West
that
Side
is
on the back burner. That's what it is.
That we figured it out week to week. That is a week to week.
Yeah.
But because Kenya, I already know that I'm gonna definitely miss probably 4 games because they have 2 Monday night games and a Thursday night game, and they have a game in
Madrid.
Oh
man.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that we're in the playoffs. That's the second round playoff game in Madrid, so I'm hoping that we're in the playoffs. But the other 14 games, man, we're gonna be on it. Now Kenya's gonna be at every one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna miss about 4 of them.
Well, let's see, Jaylin, you guys are playing in Atlanta coming up.
Yeah, we play. That's the 4th game, I believe.
Yeah, it's like September
23rd or something like that.
24th, 23rd, 24th.
Yeah, towards the end.
That'd be the closest game then. South Carolina.
So if you're out there and you want to see Jaylin play with the Commanders, that is definitely the closest game because you guys don't play the Panthers, I don't believe, in the regular season.
Nope. Nope. That's the game. That's the game. And I'm gonna put this out there too. Jaylin don't get discount tickets. He don't get free tickets. He don't all that because everybody hey man, let's get some discount tickets. Nope. If he gets tickets, that means he has to pay for it. That's what people miss out on.
Yeah.
Is he has to pay for the tickets and all of that stuff. And if it's 20 people, that's a lot of money that I'm not letting him spend. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I know he's old, he's grown, and he's married.
Yeah.
But I told him, hey man, they gotta come through Papa Bear. I told him, hey man, talk to my dad about that kind of stuff.
My agent, your first, talk to your first agent. Yeah, talk to your first agent, right?
Right.
Jaylin, you're starting to talk about some of the veterans that are on the team with you right now, and I got to see you. I was a little bit bummed out because Sam Hartman's probably not going to watch this podcast, but I was a little bit bummed out that Sam Hartman was playing quarterback that night because we couldn't really see what you could do. But then next game up, Jayden Daniels had a few snaps. And it was blatantly obvious that you belong in the position that you're in, man. The plays you're making are it's incredible, man, to see you make those plays and, making a name for yourself and definitely making your quarterback. I know your quarterback's going to trust, being able to throw the ball to you wherever you are.
Yeah.
So, maybe speak to that for just a minute on how the preseason works. All the starters and the veterans are kind of taking a break, I guess. They don't get as many reps.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing really with the whole training camp is to be consistent. That was kind of my mindset. I don't got to make a crazy play every single day, one hand grab, nothing like that. But I just got to be consistent. Like, even if I'm not getting the ball thrown to me, I got to show on film that I'm getting open. And it's crazy. That's kind of what happened like that first preseason game. I didn't get a lot of targets. And then the QBs, they came to me. It was like, hey, keep doing your thing. I'm going to find you. And then the next preseason game, I got 4 or 5 targets. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
that's the life of a receiver anyway. You might have 10 targets one game, 2 the next. You never look too deep into that. But
Right.
yeah. So that was just kind of my mindset throughout this whole preseason ordeal, just to be consistent. And yeah, that's how you earn trust ultimately. The
Well,
more consistent you are.
what can you tell us about like the Terry McLaurin holdout thing, like, and how that plays into playing time? Like, he's going to immediately be put into the rotation, I'm assuming, or
Oh
he's
yeah.
your starter and all the stuff.
Yeah. I don't know exactly. How all this works. It was crazy because Terry, he was around throughout most of the holdout. Just and I'd be talking to him. He'd be coaching me up on stuff, and
Yeah.
he spoke to like the situation a little bit, but he didn't go into grave detail. But so yeah, I'm still kind of learning how all this works
Sure.
And whatnot. But a guy like Terry, he's in the fold regardless.
Yep.
That's the respect he's earned,
Right.
and I'm just excited. I'm on the same team. I get to learn from him and just kind of use him to grow. So it's been pretty cool.
Well, what's it like? So your dad and I were talking a couple weeks ago, and Coach, I've been trying to find film or pictures or something. We've been trying to find film of Jaylin, of you and Debo on the field at the same time at a Woodruff game, and we can't find that magic combo. I'm going to keep looking, but you got to see Debo play at Woodruff and at you got to see him play both places, and now to see what he's done in his career as an NFL veteran now. Man, is that weird? Is that cool? Like, what is that feeling, knowing like you were a little kid when he was in high school, and now you're on the same NFL team? That's got to be a crazy thought.
It's definitely crazy because my pops, he had talked to Debo. He was like right after I got drafted or something, right? You had talked to him,
Yeah.
and then because Debo, he knows him, he didn't know who I was, and then he was like, "Oh yeah, that's my son." He was a ball boy, and Debo was like, "Oh, that's crazy." So like it's just crazy. I like specifically remember, like being excited because Debo, he's going to South Carolina, he's a big recruit, this and that. But in my mind, I'm like, man, we about to go win. It's Woodruff, this and that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. We shut his tail down 2 or 3 games at least.
See, he had never admitted too, because I done
No.
told him that.
Look, I pick on him. I pick on him and that's why when he texts me, he just texts me. He said, Coach Lane, is Jaylin your son? I said, yes, man. I said, yes, he's with you guys. 4th round. I said, take care of him. He said, yeah, bet. But I used to always pick on him. He was at Carolina. I say, man, we shut you down your sophomore year. He'd always say, no, because my ankle was hurt. Now, his senior year, they beat us.
Right.
But sophomore year, we got him.
Yep, he was a non-factor, Jaylin. You can remind him that he was a non-factor. when he came to play the Woodruff Wolverines. But that's pretty cool too. The connection there, being able to have Debo there. I'm sure that hopefully it reminds you a little bit of home, and and I'm praying you guys are getting settled in up there. And settle the debate for us. So you guys you're living in Virginia, or is it in?
Yeah, we're in Virginia.
Okay,
we're
gotcha.
in Virginia.
Yeah,
it's funny. Like, we live in Virginia. The practice facility in Virginia, but we play in Maryland. It can get a little confusing. So it's not really.
And the old RFK is in
The
DC.
old RFK is in DC. It's crazy. Like, driving to the stadium from our hotel before games, you drive right past the old stadium.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to ask too, have they confirmed they're going to build a new stadium? Is that 100%?
Yeah, they confirmed it. It's definitely, just seeing how the stadium looks, it's going to take a minute to get that up and running. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's confirmed.
Nice. And game 1 for you is coming up when?
It'll be next Sunday. What is that? The 7th?
7th, yep.
Yeah.
Versus Giants.
1 p.m.
Is that in New York?
No, it'll be home. It'll be in Landover.
Gotcha, man. Well, Well, guys, I couldn't pass up this opportunity when I knew Jaylin was going to be available to get you guys together. And it's funny that we started this coaches show several weeks ago with uh, Bobby, Bentley, Jake, and Coach Sloan, a family affair several weeks ago. Jake is coaching at Nations Ford and take his first head coach job. And it's just awesome to see, you guys come out of that Burns family too. And Coach Sloan here at Woodruff comes out of that Burns family. And it's just incredible the amount of football players and coaches and things that have come out of the upstate here. And Jaylin, I just want to say from Wolverine Nation, man, we are incredibly proud of you and proud for you. And I know your dad and your mom are incredibly proud. And we're pulling for you, man. I'm not a commander. I'm not a Commanders fan, but I can be now. I know 83. 83 is the man. So
man, I appreciate you, man. For sure. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir. And I appreciate your time, man. Sincerely appreciate it. I know you got a busy schedule. Coach Lane, thank you for jumping in at the end of practice.
No worries, man. Anything for Brad Phillips, baby.
Shoot, man. We love you guys, man. And we anytime we can get together and talk, man, I love to hang out with you guys. And maybe we'll make it to one of the games, Commanders games. Maybe if not this year, next year.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can plan on it. And hopefully we're hoping Marcellus's knee. We shout out to Marcellus. Hopefully he gets a good recovery with his knee and is able to come back with the New England up there. And I don't know, maybe you guys will run cross paths again, playing each other at some point, man.
It's a busy league, so I wouldn't be surprised.
It could happen.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you guys so much for jumping on. It's always good to talk to you. You guys take care. Y'all always holler at me if you need anything, and we'll do whatever we can from our end.
Hey, thanks, Brad.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
All right, you guys have a good evening.
All right.
Take care. All right, everybody. We're going to take just a couple minutes break, and we're going to bring up. I think we're going to bring up Keith Pearson. Coach Keith Pearson here is a first-year coach here at Woodruff, and we're going to talk to Keith here in just a few minutes. So you guys stand by. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes. All right, everybody, we are back with week 2 of the Woodruff Wolverine Coaches Show. We'll have Coach Brett Sloan on to give us a little bit of a recap from week 0, our big week 0 win against the Clinton Red Devils. And we are actually live every Tuesday this season. So if you guys are in downtown Woodruff, want to come out to hang with us at Tap 3, eat some wings, flatbreads. I think Ben's got flatbreads every Tuesday. So flatbreads and football, I believe, is what he's calling it. So we'd love to see you come out, hang out with us, eat some dinner, talk some football. So please make plans every Tuesday during the football season. Right now we got Mr. Keith Pearson. Keith, good to see you, man.
You too.
Man, we are. I can't remember when it was. sometime last year I ran into you, and you were coaching with Coach Lane over in Westside, and we were talking about uh, y'all playing for state and all that good stuff. And I kept thinking, I was like, man, it'd be cool if we could get Keith back to Woodruff. And lo and behold, here you are, man. It's so good to have you here in Woodruff on the staff, man. So what's it been like being able to be back home?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing, man. When I was at Westside, I was driving an hour and 15
Right.
every day. But now I'm driving 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I get to see my wife when I get home. Plenty of time. I got a
it.
baby on the way now.
Nice.
Yeah. It's
Man,
amazing.
That's awesome. And just like Jaylin, it's like I remember when you guys were little kids.
Yeah, I remember
kids playing
he was
football.
our ball boy when I played.
Yeah.
Him and TJ Morris.
Him and TJ.
Yeah.
And TJ was our quarterback here at Woodruff last year. And him and Jaylin running around, controlling the sidelines.
Yeah.
But TJ's gone on to college, and Jaylin in the NFL now. It's pretty wild. But you made kind of a name for yourself here in Woodruff, man. Back in the day, playing ball, man. I'm not sure there's not any sport you could play, was there?
I don't think I did soccer.
Yeah,
Soccer or tennis.
But you got to play football here,
Mhm.
and finish your high school career here, and go on to Presbyterian to play college ball. And what was that transition like for you to be able to move from Woodruff into into college ball?
I mean, as far as the community goes, it was about the same, small town. But the speed of the game was so much different, man. But once I got relaxed, I was fine. I settled in, learned the offense. That freshman year, I didn't play as much. But sophomore year, that's when I started to get a little bit more burn and got a little bit more confident in myself. Yeah, and I went on. I wasn't chasing records. I went on. I was able to set a few. I think it was like 4 of them. And senior year, was able to become an All-American, man. So if you would have asked me this question when I was in high school, I probably would have been a little bit unsure. But now that I've done it, man, it was amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, you're a veritable legend at PC football now. Kind of made your mark, or left your mark, however you want to word it, man. And I believe you got. Let's see, am I doing the math correct? You got to play with Keegan Halloran.
I did.
One year, 1 or 2
I had
seasons.
Presbyterian 2 years.
2 years.
So I got
Keegan.
2 years with him, and I had 2 years with him in high school as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that.
He didn't play quarterback at PC though. We moved him to safety. But
he ended up being
he tore it up back there too though.
He ended up being an incredible free safety in college, and all those years he played quarterback, coming up from a little kid all the way through varsity. Well, man, being back home with the baby on the way, congratulations.
Thank you.
And being able to be a part of this Wolverines coaching staff, we usually bring up new coaches because I have to, we want to introduce everybody to you, get to know you, but you're a hometown guy. Like I feel like everybody knows who Keith Pearson is, but being able to be here and be a part of this program now from a coaching standpoint, what does that mean to you to be able to come back and have an impact on kids that were kind of in your shoes at one point?
It was always the plan, man. It was always the plan. Once I was done playing, I knew I wanted to come back home at some point. Luckily, Coach Lane gave me an opportunity at Westside so I can get some experience. But once I got in, man, first day I showed up, I told the guys, man, I was like, I remember some of y'all reaching over the fence when I was sitting down here trying to catch my breath.
Yep.
But yeah, man, it's amazing, man. It's amazing. It's a dream come true.
And it's been super cool to follow your career, and then being able to having that time with Coach Lane, I'm sure has been invaluable to be able to experience the the championship environment of making the full run from week 0 to as far as you could literally go.
Yeah, long season,
and I'm sure somewhat rewarding because you put in all that time and that work, and you don't go out. Yeah, you don't go out there to play to lose. You want to make sure you win them all, and inevitably win the big one at the end of the year. What do you how do you feel like maybe that experience, you know, was able to prepare you for like taking on, you know, a role as a you know, as a coach on a staff that's trying to do the same thing in 3A?
I can just give them what I already know. Some of the guys have already asked that question, like Coach Moats. Me and him try to work together, and some things he might know that I don't know. I might know something he don't know. So I just try to share a little bit what I've already experienced.
Well, and you know, with you young guys, you know, it's how do you feel like, you know, being your age, being younger, being able to relate to the kids on the field, and you know, motivate them to do their job and to do the best of their ability. You think that gives you an advantage?
Well, I get to show them by example. Some days I put the cleats on a day. Actually, I get to move around a little bit, and I can show them how I expect it to be done. I mean, it might not get done that way, but I can at least give them an example.
Yeah, Coach Pearson. Yeah, Coach Pearson's going to lead by example and look and show you he's still got wheels.
Yeah,
is that what?
I ran with the guys yesterday. I didn't do it today. Took a toll on my body.
Nice. So, yeah. Well, let me tell you something. When you get the older you get, bud, the more that's going to have an effect on you next day. I'm
starting to feel it now.
I won't tell one on Coach Sloan, but I think he threw his shoulder out, you know, fist pumping on Friday night. But we can address that in a little bit. But he might have a little soreness from fist pumping on Friday. And maybe not for the best reasons. It may have not been in happiness either. So we'll have to get a confirmation on that later.
Talk about that one.
Yeah. So obviously you're working with wide receivers, right?
Yep. Me and Coach Moats.
And Coach Moats is also another Woodruff graduate who, we used to call him Dancing Moats.
Dancing Moats.
What was it we called him? Shoot, I'll have to get my brother to text me. We used to, you know, made a bunch of videos of Amos dancing. That was his famous trademark.
That's who had wheels right
when
there.
He was in. Yeah,
he could roll.
Mm-hmm.
He could roll.
And deceptive. You know, not a huge receiver, but extremely effective and fast. Good hands. Good route runner too, though. Mm-hmm. And that's what I think always set him apart. Is well, I mean, any of these young guys that are trying to play on Friday nights, being able to be a great route runner makes all the difference in this type of offense we run, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to speak to that as like, you know, how you get these guys to run crisp routes and the things that you want them to do during the game, you know, like what does that look like on a daily basis?
I mean, sometimes we get the indie period. That's when I get a chance to actually get with them, work top end, stuff like that, separation. So, I mean, really, it depends on our schedule throughout the week.
Yeah. Well, Keith, I appreciate you coming in, man, and I know that all the Wolverine Nation is pumped to have you back here. And, you know, you guys bringing kids, hopefully bringing in another little wide receiver.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm not going to push it on them.
That's
what they want to do then.
I love it, man. But everybody here in Woodruff is pumped to have you here, man, as a hometown guy. And thank you for all the work that you put in, man. And all of you guys on the coaching staff, you know, are kind of definitely we appreciate all what you guys do, and you know, doesn't go unnoticed, you know, especially on a huge win on a Friday night against the Clinton Red Devils, second year in a row. We hadn't done that in a long time, 2 in a row, man. So I know you guys are pumped about that and ready to move on to Fountain Inn on Friday night. But Keith, thank you for coming in, man. Good to see you as always.
Good seeing you.
And we're going to bring up Coach Sloan here in just a second. So you guys hang tight, and we're going to talk about a little bit of a recap from Friday night, and then we're going to talk about our opponent this week, the Fountain Inn Fury. Stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, everybody. We are back here at Tap 3, Main Street, Woodruff, South Carolina. The second episode of our Woodruff Wolverine Coaches Show. Had an eventful show thus far. And now the man of the hour has joined us here straight from practice. Coach Sloan, huge congratulations in order. This is 2 in a row against the Clinton Red Devils. I think I just got a message that said that's the first time since 2018-19 that we have won 2 in a row against Clinton.
I think Coach Morris and I were talking the other day, and 18-19 was the last time we did it. We did it 08 and 09. And then there was another couple of years, but I think we've only done it 4 times in the last 50 years. I think is where we beat them back to back. So it's pretty good, pretty nice accomplishment. But we got to turn the page. And it's a great job by our team, by our staff, by our players. By everybody, Coach T getting them ready to go. It was just it was a good Friday night in Varner Stadium. And
yes, sir.
And we look forward to another one this week.
It's a way to start off a season. Always good with a win, and giving us some momentum going into. Technically, I guess it's week 1, right, Coach?
Sure.
But let's talk a little bit about Friday's game, just for a couple minutes. You had some good production from Aiden Gibson as always. But you got to mention the defense.
Yeah.
Defense. Man, I'm not sure if the defense could have done any more. They gave up a couple touchdowns, but other than that, Coach, the defense looked really good overall.
Well, coming into the year, you kind of felt like, we got 10 starters on defense who are seniors. We're a very senior-heavy team on that side of the ball. They're pretty experienced. They played in a lot of games now, and to several 3-year starters on that side of the ball, from Jordan Hood to Trayvon and Gunner and some other guys. So there's a lot of seniority over there. There's a lot of maturity over there. They're big and they're fast and they're strong, and mentally they're mature. They're able to handle practices and prepare in the same way, in the correct way. And you kind of go into the year knowing we're replacing 5 offensive linemen, we're replacing a quarterback. There's going to be some bumps in the road, and we think all of those guys are going to be good players, but it just doesn't always happen overnight. It's not always
right.
The progression's not always linear. Sometimes we're going to hit highs, and then there's going to be some lows. And
right.
But as long as we're steadily progressing upward over the long haul, then that's what we're looking for. But anyway, I say all that to say, we kind of felt like we needed to be able to lean on our defense. So there would be some moments early when we would need to lean on our defense. And going in, I kind of felt like that would be the case Friday night, because I knew Clinton had a chance to be really good on defense too. And I thought very highly of their secondary, thought very highly of their front. I know they were replacing all 3 linebackers. I thought the Mike linebacker was a really good player, and so they were just really solid on defense, and just their style of play can present you with some problems when you got a young offensive lineman and a young quarterback, because they're very much they're in your face. They're going to send pressure. They're going to play man. They're going to make you execute, and they're going to make you pass pro. And they're going to make you prove that you can beat them, throwing the football at times. And that can be stressful for a quarterback making his first start, and 5 offensive linemen making their first start. So
yeah,
it had all the rest. It had all the ingredients, I guess, for it to be kind of a defensive slugfest. And it kind of felt like that's what it was.
Right.
And I was so proud. I was so proud.
Game,
yeah, I was so proud of how hard we played and how physical we played, and how well we played on defense, and the energy they played with.
Sure.
And I know you were referencing my shoulder injury earlier. I'm not injured. It was a little sore, and it was it was a celebratory fist pump after when I thought we had stuffed them on 4th down, and
that's a whole other conversation that we're not going to talk about.
But I was so fired up for them, and it was just good to see them have that success.
Sure.
And we were able to kind of ride them, and but then hats off to the offense late in the game too, because we had a lot of guys down with cramps.
Yeah.
And that could have went bad for us. And then our offense gets the ball and goes 7.5 minutes, and Clinton never touched the ball again. And that was big time too. And
well, that's one of the things I was going to mention, Coach. On the offensive side of the ball, Aiden Gibson gets his credit where he's due. The young man is an incredible athlete, but we have some 2s and 3s at running back that those guys can flat run the ball too. And,
Jaylin Lane comes in there and he had several good carries. Scores a touchdown. Had a great carry on the last series where he bounced the outside zone and put his foot in the ground and really got north. I mean, we think an awful lot of him and think he's a high level player too. And that's good. That's a good thing because I think people saw Friday night what they saw out of Aiden was his versatility. Right,
sure.
He's just as good. That's what makes him a little bit unique is. He's a big back. He's almost 205 pounds, but he can split out at wide receiver, and he's just as good out there, and you can get him in serious mismatch problems on linebackers and things like that.
For sure.
And, that's something as a freshman and sophomore he wasn't quite ready for. He had the skills to do it, but he wasn't quite ready for it. And then, we were able to do that a couple times in some big situations the other night, and get him loose. And great job by Coach Lewis there by, having that in the game plan and just but man, those guys played their tail off on both sides of the ball. And, Corey Moats played a good game. Connor had some big runs where he had some big moments where he ran the ball really well.
He had one grown man
which is
run.
an element that he brings to the table that a lot of people don't know about just yet, and I think, as his game progresses, you're going to see that more too, and so that's something I'm excited about.
I was standing beside Connor after the game. How big is that youngin?
Yeah, he's a big kid. He's almost 6'2", 210.
Yeah,
he's a big kid.
Yeah, he's really almost as big as Aiden, pretty much.
Yeah, Aiden might be a little bit taller,
right.
But he's 6'1", 210-ish. 6'2", 210-ish.
He's a big youngin at quarterback.
Yes,
when he decides to pull the ball down to
when
run,
he wants to be, he's a linebacker playing quarterback.
Sure is.
What I mean, or a fullback playing quarterback.
Correct.
And that's a weapon. It really is. So you got to tackle Aiden, and you got to tackle Lyles and Corey and Jaylin Robertson, and then you got to tackle this 200.
and also Cam, who's
and you got to tackle this 215-pound quarterback. That's a lot. That can be a problem sometimes.
For sure.
So I'm looking forward to see how he progresses, and how he plays in game 2. That's we just want to see progression.
Well, that's one thing that I was sort of picking at Connor a little bit. Being able to kind of have your first full 4 quarters as a varsity starter at quarterback. Figuring out the game speed and figuring out how hard Clinton defense hits.
Yeah, I mean,
all those things. You have to keep in mind that it's his first time.
It's his first ever start and live gameplay. And it's against the number 1 the defending 2A state champion who happens to have 8 starters back on defense. So that's that's a tall task.
That's a tall order.
That's a tall task, and for the most part. And what I was really proud of him, and I've told him this, down the stretch, he made some really good decisions to avoid the critical error. We kind of talked early in the game about the red zone interception. That's cardinal. You don't throw red zones interceptions on 1st and 10.
Right.
But how many times has he been in that situation and that level of play? He hasn't really. So. Every time he does that, it's going to be a new experience for him. But he learns, and he'll learn there, and we'll continue to progress him. But I saw him grow up a little bit in the 3rd and 4th quarter, where he made some really savvy decisions, pulling the ball a couple times, and protected the ball in some situations that had he made a mistake, it could have been bad. And he did a good job there. And I was really proud and really pleased of that from him.
Yeah, man. I can't remember if it was you that made the comment about offensively from Friday. we're going to get better every week. And it's like, boy, if we get better every week from what we saw Friday, we're going to be really good.
I think so.
Really, really good,
we got a chance to at least,
Right,
but
yeah.
there's a lot of ifs and ands, and you got to stay healthy. You got to do the right things at practice. You got to practice with the right intensity. You got to stay humble. You got to, fight complacency. There's a lot of things there, but there's definitely some ingredients there that, if we get the right recipe, it could be pretty special.
Correct.
I think, so.
Yeah, man. Well, it's I think you told me on the phone. It's always amazing to get a win in the first game of the season. Gives you momentum to go into game 2 coming up against Fountain Inn, and we had a heck of a ball game with Fountain Inn at their place last year, and I believe we won it on a walk-off field goal.
We did. We walked it off. I'd rather not do that again. So
if we can avoid that, it's great for the fans. It was a great experience for the fans.
Yeah. It's not great for the head coaches.
Not so much for the coaches.
Blood pressure or anxiety. So.
But so Fountain Inn comes here to W.L. Varner Stadium, where we will be home this Friday, and Fountain Inn brings their starting quarterback. He's back again this year. And that young man is a really, really good ball player. And Coach, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about their offense.
He's a heck of a player. I mean, offensively, from a scheme and style standpoint, they're going to be pretty similar to us. They're probably more heavy gap scheme than we are, where we do a little bit more zone and outside zone and things like that. But they're I guess their edge run play would be buck sweep, where ours is typically outside zone, type stuff. But you're going to see that their perimeter run play is going to be more of a buck sweep type deal most of the time. They run some power read, they run a little bit of split zone and things like that. But probably it's more gaps, a little bit more gap scheme than what we run. You get some counter. So stylistically, it's a lot of 11 personnel and some 10 personnel. Mm-hmm. So they're very similar to us in the style of play.
Right.
Probably more, they're a little heavier pass than we are right now. They got a 3-year starter at quarterback. He started since he was a freshman, so
absolutely.
They lean on him as they should, and he's a really good football player, and he makes them go. And what scares you about him is, he's not a statue back there. Mm-hmm. You flush him, and he's going to take off for 15 or 20 or more on you, and then he can make the throw on the run to beat you. So it kind of gets into that game. Do you keep him in the pocket, make him play for the pocket? Do you flush him? Do you take chances? If you flush him, you got to get him on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so. I think staying in your rush lanes. I talked to our defense about this week. And the design quarterback run play game is a big deal for them. So super important this week that you got to reach your keys, because a lot of times they'll have the running back going one direction and the quarterback's pulling it and running buck sweep the other direction. And if you if you chase who you presume to have the ball instead of doing what your key tells you to do,
right?
Then they really got you. And so just being disciplined in that is a big deal. And then you got to be disciplined in your rush lanes too. Like if you're C gap rusher, if you're supposed to have C gap and you're rushing C gap, then you can't stick your head inside and get pinned, because then if he gets to the edge, it's a problem, And so he's a good player. They got good receivers, they got good running backs, they got a good offensive line. They're good on offense. D line's big. Mm-hmm. They're typical 4A school. Their front could give us problems if we don't come to play. And things. So they got some the little slot receiver number 8's probably who they try to get the ball to the most.
Mm-hmm.
He's pretty dynamic in space, does a good job. 11's probably their possession guy. He runs well, but he's kind of their seems to be they look for him in certain situations. And then they got some length, and number 1 and 0, one's the tight end, 0 plays flanker for them, and he's a good player. So. Or split in, excuse me, but they're good. They're good on offense, especially. So
for sure. So as far as defensively, what are they? What kind of challenge do they bring to us from that side of the ball?
Like I said, the defense line's big and strong. So we got to make sure that we're ready to go there up front, and we got to make sure that we're physical, and that we bring the physicality every single snap, and we establish the run game. That's the biggest thing. We feel like if we can get the run game established, then it sets up other things that we do in the pass game. So we got to make sure that we're able to do that. So it's and stylistically, schematically, they're very similar to us on defense too. They're a 3-4, like we're a 3-4 base. They play a little bit more what I would call cover 2 read type stuff, and we play more press quarter. So, but a lot of the principles are the same. There's whether you're playing a little bit off coverage or whether you're pressed in it. But a lot of the concepts are very similar on the back end too. It's just may present itself a little bit differently, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
But they're really well coached. They're good at causing turnovers. That's kind of last year what got them back into the game was we threw a pick right there before the half. We're 20-0.
Right.
And looking back on it, I probably should just ran the football. You're up 20-0, backed up, and say that's one thing I would have done differently. And I always evaluate everything, what I did wrong and what So there's a big process that goes into all that. But I say that to say they caused a big turnover. They got all the energy. They scored right before half. All of a sudden, it's a 20-7 game, and then they got it and they scored the first drive, and then it was game on. From that point on, and they had taken all the momentum, and it felt like we were just kind of sleepwalking. And the challenge is coming off a high like we had last Friday night. Beat Clinton again, big rivalry game,
Kind
a lot of
mirror image
emotion.
of last year.
Yeah, it's very similar. It's very, very similar. So I'm interested to see how we handle that challenge this week. This year, because I would hope they have our full attention, because they very well could have beat us last year. And
correct.
Maybe they're a good football team with the trigger man back for a third year. And he's a really good player. We've got to be prepared, So, but I feel like we've had a good week of practice so far. We got to finish, then see what we can do, But they try to make you turn the ball over on defense, and they try to keep everything in front of them. They want to make you earn it, and that's a pretty good philosophy in high school, because a lot of high school offenses, if you make them go 10-play drives, they're going to screw it up themselves, So it's they're really, really well coached. I'm really impressed with them. So.
Sure. Yeah, I agree. And, last year when you were telling me that we were similar on both sides of the ball, when you see it in person, that was really, really true. We were almost mirror images of each other of what we could do. TJ's style of quarterback and their starting quarterback, their style of quarterback was very similar. It made for an extremely exciting game to watch as far as the fans go. And someone was in here earlier and made mention that, geographically, Fountain Inn is, I believe, the closest high school on our schedule to us.
I think so.
And
I wouldn't know for sure, but I think so.
I believe that. I believe when I say that, that's correct. And what he was saying is the fact that, feels like a little bit of a rivalry might be starting here.
Might be building a little bit,
And, because Fountain Inn's only been in existence for 5 years now.
Yeah.
6 years. But maybe there's a little bit of a rivalry going on.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think you can feel that building a little bit, and there's it's kind of a natural rivalry when you're that close. You know what I mean? I think the geographical location of both schools just makes it make sense. And then when you look at us and we're very similar in schemes on both sides of the ball and all those things, it just makes it it's kind of human nature. That kind of becomes a little bit of rivalry. So that wouldn't surprise me at all. I'm sure some of our kids know their kids and vice versa, and. But man, I think they're a good rival to have, because I think the world of Coach Nichols and their staff, and I think they do a phenomenal job, and I think they're really good people on top of that, and so it's lots of respect, I think, on both sides of that. So
for sure, and I feel like it might end up being maybe a natural rivalry, because like you said, there's we're close enough to that Greenville County, Lawrence County line over here, where families live across the line.
Sure.
And, I like it, and I hope we're going to be able to keep playing them because it just makes sense.
Yeah.
Especially for travel and all the things.
As long as they don't get too big and too good too fast,
Well, or we could catch up to them,
Yeah,
Coach. It's possible when we move in this new school. We can blossom into that.
Seems to be happening, but
for sure. But we'll stay in 3A for now. We won't push us into another division yet. But Coach, anything else you want to add about the game coming up this week against Fountain Inn?
Not really. Just looking forward to see how we handle this situation again this year. And seeing if we can, play to the standard. That's something we talk about a lot. Are we going to live up to the standard? They know what the standard is, and the circumstance, the opponent. What you did last week, what you're going to do next week. None of that stuff doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is next play and living up to that standard in that play. And I'm hoping that we see that on display Friday night. That'd be my biggest thing right now. So.
Well, I anticipate, Fountain Inn travels. They typically travel pretty well. I
would think it's going to be a great crowd. I mean, they brought a great crowd at the Jamboree a few weeks ago, or the Page Scrimmage, the McDonald's Classic. So I would anticipate they're coming off a big win last year. They scored 48 points last week. So I would think that they got some momentum, and their fans are excited about the potential of this season for them as well. And I think it's going to be a heck of a ball game. Really do.
So you, Wolverine Nation out there, you guys show up, be loud and be proud, fill the stadium up, and we are looking for a win against Fountain Inn. And Via Thompson says, "Let's go Wolverines," and that's exactly my thoughts as we close out the podcast tonight.
Let's go Wolverines. That's right.
And once again, Coach, thank you for coming in as always and taking time to talk with us about Wolverine football. And thank you to Tap 3 for hosting us every week during the football season, every Tuesday, 7 p.m. We'd love for you to come out, bring your family, bring your friends. Flatbreads and football, I believe, is what Tap 3.
Flatbreads and football Tuesday night.
I
think it's flatbreads are buy one get one free. I think
they're BOGO.
Yeah.
So
BOGO.
So thank you to Ben Harris and everybody here at Tap 3 for always being extremely hospitable and hosting the Woodruff Wolverine Coaches Show. So plan on next week or the week after. Make plans to bring your family out. Get a flatbread, hang out, talk football with us for about an hour. And we'd love to see you out here. But we'd also love to see you on Friday night too. So you guys make plans to come out and show your Wolverine pride Friday night. So we'll close it out with a big go Wolverines and beat Fountain Inn. And we will see you guys next week on the Woodruff Wolverine Coaches Show. Take care.